Hi guys, Axel Morocco here again, logistics and supply chain cheerleader and Logisticom mentor. I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of a sense of what we're talking about, what is supply chain management, and some of the thoughts you might consider into your first video. So let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, we hear a lot about supply and demand. Supply determines what are the goods available and services that are available to consumers, but demand determines what companies are actually willing to supply. That makes a lot of sense. And in Vietnam, it's a little bit difficult because we have a long, skinny country with a big amount of demand on two sides of the country. So is supply chain just a story about all of the little companies and middlemen in order to get your products from the raw material to you as a consumer? Is it really? That's all what it is about? Probably not. Of course, the supply chain does have many different partners in the supply chain. We can think of the flow of goods from the raw material through all of the different partners until it can get to you as a consumer. But it's a whole lot more complicated than that, isn't it? Because this distributor may be selling to the competitor just as well as selling the competitor's product, just as well as selling a particular brand. So what we really have is a network of interconnected companies that go through in making sure that the products are available based on the demand to the consumers and the supply of who has those products available. And in this project, this contest this year, we would like you to think a little bit more of the full life cycle management of the products. After they get to you as a consumer, where do they go next? The waste collection, the waste sorting, recycling. This is a completely other supply chain. We have one supply chain getting the products to you as a consumer, and we have another supply chain managing those products after they are done with their useful life. Both sides are concerned for the overall supply of the product. So what is supply chain management? Supply chain management is the coordination of all these different companies, this big network we've been talking about, to deliver an overall performance for the brand into terms of value and probably profit. That would be nice if we can do it. But if we can really think about it, is how do we coordinate all of these different partners, planning, product management, development, supplier alignment, materials, all of that, in order to create a competitive advantage. And this is a core concept to all commerce, is that your company needs to be competitive in what it does, which means that it has to have some sort of plan. And if we really think about this plan of coordinating all of these companies is a lot like maybe human resource management. If we think of the different companies as having different skills, different technical abilities, and different personalities. Are they fast? Are they slow? Are they detailed? Are they good planners? Are they fast responders? All of these different personalities we can attribute to different companies. Now, if we use a lot of the same kind of concepts, such as how do you evaluate and recruit the best companies and suppliers to work with you in order to make that happen, that is a lot like getting employees. If you develop the processes that make sure those suppliers are complying with the best way that you see in order to manage your product and reduce the amount of risk for you, well, that's also like making sure that the policies that your employees are using in order to produce the best value for your company. How do you measure your employees? How do you measure your suppliers? How do you develop information and training in order to support and get those suppliers and staff to be better than they are already? How do you develop incentives to motivate those suppliers to better performance? All of these are different rules that you create inside of your company in order to manage your companies. But supply chain is a little bit like an extended enterprise because we have companies that we do business with. Maybe we are a manufacturer like Ford Motor Company. We'll call those an assembler, actually, because they have many suppliers that produce products for them. And those suppliers have to get products from those suppliers after that. Ford Motor Company may not deal directly with the component suppliers, but getting a complete assembly of products that they assemble into cars. Now, Ford has to create rules for its company to pass on to how that company does business with other companies to make sure Ford is getting the best product and the best way its company can produce. First, it makes rules about how those products and services are managed. So from the supplier side, we have quality standards, we have shipping standards, we have on-time performance. And then on the outbound side, we also have standards of performance for how they treat their retail customers and how the dealers then actually provide service to those customers. So Ford Motor Company is actually expanding its rules of how it manages the product throughout different partners, even ones that it doesn't do direct business with. It also controls the information and the sharing of information so that the supplier can plan on what kind of equipment it will need, how many staff it will need, all of those demand planning things, what kind of new information systems it will need in the future. All of this has to be dealt with back and forth within the supply chain, the information, rules of what will be shared in order to protect the competitive advantage of Ford Motor Company. Ford also creates incentives through their finance, tries to reduce the overall cost of dealing with this product, because we know that time is money and inventory is money tied up over time. So we can think about how we manage inspiring our suppliers throughout the supply chain in order to behave in better ways. And we can also think about the cost that those suppliers incur and have to pass those costs on to the other partners of the supply chain in order to stay profitable and in business. So supply chain management is the effective coordination of the product and service rules, the information rules, and the finance rules in order to create a competitive advantage for the overall company, service, or brand. Let's go back just for a second to that supply and demand equation. Marketing does its job in order to try and understand what the customers want in the best possible way and make promises that the customers should choose your brand or company. But supply chain actually has to coordinate and manage all of that stuff to happen to make those customers happy. In summary, we have to look at supply chain management as a much higher strategic kind of plan, how we can coordinate the different partners using rules and techniques and strategies in order to make sure that they can efficiently manage the product flow, the information flow, and the finances in order to achieve a competitive advantage or a value for our customers.